Hey everyone, welcome to another video. As requested by that guy, I'm going to be implementing a view counter, or at least showing you how I did it, because most of this is already a setup project, and then we're just going to do a little step into how we might want to think about improving it. So first of all, let's go over what I have. So the most important thing is, let's go into the startup. I have my controllers, I have views, and I have the controller mapped, and I also have a static file here, but I'm not using static files, right? I'm going to be serving the static file through the controller, and that's primarily how we're going to do the view counter. So let's go take a look at the database. Not the controllers folder, the data folder. So I have my add db context, which inherits from db context, and the options here is how I make it configurable to be an in-memory database. I have my 3 models, and then I'm just seeding some data, right? And for the seed to actually happen, I call database ensure created in my program.cs. Okay, and then the starter thing, you've probably seen, if you watch my videos, you've probably seen me do this 1,000 times. This is how I seed my data. So the models are the most important thing, so let's go ahead and look at the models. So first of all, we have the base entity. This is just an abstract class with an ID here, and then I have the following 3 entities: image, post, and view. These are the ones that are registered with my db context. The other 2 are abstract, and the second abstract entity is viewable, right? So the base entity is just for the ID. Viewable is how I identify if the model can be viewed and should have a view counter, right? So this is how I'm going to be storing views, and a view exactly is just a user ID, right? So the user ID will be either a user that's registered or a user that you might just generate a GUID and store it in the cookie and assign it to a user that way, right? So it's just an identifier for the user that's viewing, right? And then the post and image inherit from viewable, and because viewable inherits from base entity, post will have the ID and the views properties, right, and additional to whatever they have as well. So post and image are both viewable objects. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at what I'm doing in my controllers, exactly how to count up these views. So in my home controller, I'm injecting the db context and web host environment just to know where my file is. Next thing, I have index and images, where I just display my post and images with their views. Next thing is I get the post, and when I get the post, I go ahead and add a view, and then I save the changes. And next thing, I also have a image controller, so when I get my image, I just add the view, and if there is no image, I return no content, which is not going to happen. I save my changes, and then I grab the file and then return the image. Okay, so simple enough setup. Let's go ahead and run the application and see this work. Okay, so here we have the home page. If let's say I duplicate the tab and I go to home slash, let's go to post first, post ID 1, right? So this is the first post, and oh, I guess I forgot to mention how I'm generating these user IDs. Every time I add a view, I assign a user ID, and the way I grab the user ID is the way I like to do it. I have a base controller where I essentially grab the HTTP context, I check for the user, I check for the claims, and if the claim has a name identifier, this is so your sub or your name identifier claim, and I just grab the value. And if it's null, I generate a new GUID, which is pretty much the case all the time. I always generate a new GUID, but this is the way you would do it if you would use identity, right? So this is how these GUIDs get generated, and every time I navigate to this post, one more GUID is added. And if I look on the front page, the view is incremented. By the way, the source code for this is in the description, so you can go ahead, grab it, play around with it, whatever. But yeah, the important part here is that we get this view counter every time we visit the post. And again, the same thing will happen if we go ahead and visit the image with the name. And this breakpoint is here for later. So if I now go to home, /home/ images, you can see that the view counter incremented to 1. If I refresh this a couple of more times, it will be incremented to 7, right? So every time we view the image or the post, we get an incremented count, and if you have assigned in users, you will be able to track that view count a little bit more reliably, especially if you don't have users. You can deal out a cookie and then you can narrow it down. But again, if somebody visits through like incognito or something like that, then again, the view counter might not be very reliable, and you might want to do it only if the user is registered, right? But again, this is a creativity, and if you think about this problem long enough, you'll come up with a good solution. So right now, what I'm doing, the way I'm displaying these view counts is I essentially include all the views, right? And let's say we come up to like 10,000 views. You don't want to grab 10,000 records from your database, okay? So the way you would do something like this is you would go into viewable and you would say, right, I have a list of views and I want to sort of cut it at a point where I'm grabbing all the views just for the view count. Let's go ahead and grab or rather add a property that's going to be a views count property, right? And let's get set it. And now what we can do instead, we can skip grabbing the includes for when we display the images or the posts. And if we go into the views where I have the images, again, it's very simple setup. I just iterate through the images that I have, which I only have one, and then I display the views. So I go into the list of views and I grab the count. So all I want to do is remove this dot and I have the views count because this is now the property, right? And I want to do the same for my posts. Now that I'm using the views count, let's go ahead and when we navigate to these posts or images, increment the view count, right? So I guess not equals, but plus plus, and because it's just a property now, it's just gonna get when we get the image object, right? And this include here, I mean, you can remove it, you can keep it. I'm keeping it purely for displaying purposes on my page, right? When I display my post, I display all the views that I have here, right? So I just keep it there. But bear in mind, if you want to add the view to your object, you don't have to include the views with it, right? You can just go to views and add your new view. And let's actually change this to image. And here you might want to do something like check if view exists. Okay, so now let's go ahead and check that this view counter is working. All right, so if we go to the image bit, if I refresh this a couple of times and then I go to images, the view counter is incrementing it, and we are not actually getting any views to get this view counter, right? We just get it from this property that the image or the post object inherit from viewable, right? So I guess the actual second interesting thing that we can add is actually this if statement, right? So you want to check if the view exists before you actually increment it again. So the main thing that we have is the user ID and the image ID. And the way that this is set up, right, if you have a viewable abstract class, how are you gonna know with post or image, like, you know, how are you gonna put the foreign key in here? Are you gonna add image ID and stuff like that? No, right? So what you do is, by convention, Entity Framework will put a shadow key in there, and it will be the name of the parent plus ID. Okay, so what I mean by that, it will be a little bit easier to see if I just type it out. So let's actually just grab views for now, and we will go into CTX, and let's actually call this image views. So CTX views, and first we'll say where X, and now we will go grab the EF function, which comes from the Entity Framework core namespace, which I have because I am using includes here. So the EF static class, we want to grab a property, which will be an integer, and we want to supply the object from which to grab the property, right? So this is going to be a view. So we're going to be grabbing a property from a view of type int, and now we have to say what name it has. And by convention, since we're going to be comparing it to an image ID, it's going to be an image ID, right? Remember, we're grabbing a foreign key, so we want to grab all the views for the image, so we're going to use the image ID, and by convention, this is what Entity Framework creates, okay? And now we can compare this to the image ID, and let's drop this to a new line so it's a little bit easier to see. And we can call to list as well, like this. And we can put a breakpoint here just to take a look at these image views incrementing, right? Because once we know we're getting all the views for the image, we can then say, right, if there are any views with this same ID, just don't do this again. Okay, so let's run this. Let's go into home image, right? So here we will have to start with 0 views, and if we refresh, we have 1, and if we refresh again, we have 2, right? So it goes up and up, and we have these random generated GUIDs. So again, if you have a registered user and you have a static GUID per user, you can then do something of the following: if image views any user ID equals user ID, and again, user ID comes from the base controller, and if there are none, go here, and again, we can replace the image views with this statement, right, to clean it up a little bit. And if we get rid of this, now again, you have 2 of these statements, where and any. You can keep them around or you can combine them. Depends on how many, or like basically the context of the if statements or the conditions. If there is 2, I usually put them in one, and if there is multiples, like more than 3, I try to group them by their contextual meaning. So let's go ahead, just pop this here and put an AND clause, and I will drop the AND clause down here. And I guess I can drop this down here as well. So how you indent this, I guess, is up to you. So, and one more bracket for the if statement. Cool. If your screen is big, you probably don't mind this having actually on one line, but mine is small at the moment, so this is what I roll with. So for purpose of the example, let's go into the base controller, and here I am going to return a user ID, so I can pretty much hit this if statement once, okay, and make sure that I'm hitting it only once, and the view counter is going to remain at 1, right? So the first time I load the image, I will hit the breakpoint. The second time, I should skip it. So let's go to home, images. Okay, I hit the breakpoint, nice. And if I refresh, I don't hit it again, right? And that's pretty much it. If you have a static ID to work with, but that again, that depends on what implementation you're using for your ID system, either be just a normal cookie for the visitor or a whole sign-in system with identity. And might as well put this in here because this is the only condition when we actually want to save changes, is when we're incrementing the view counter, right? And this if statement would apply here as well. All right, but this is pretty much it for the overview and how to implement a view counter, how to display the views, and how to potentially check if the view has already been viewed or created for this user or not. If you enjoyed this episode, leave a like, subscribe. If you have any questions, leave a comment. If you would like to see any more particular concepts implemented in ASP.NET Core, also leave a comment. I love doing these videos. Don't forget to join the Discord server, and hopefully I'll see you in my other videos.